Sometimes our beliefs change as we go.
Beautiful. So this is the second part of the event. Look at what we got, a feast. I made salad, I made pumpkin soup, I made lotus onion, if you can see lotus onion, and then we got snacks, fruit from others.
You want to make the right decision, believe the better us, you know?
Okay, I'm still making my food. Let me just come back to Leah's question.
I'm not in God.
Leah, your question is that you are questioning everything.
No, I do believe in God. I still believe God is real, but my path with this purpose of mine, I feel like I'm sinning instead of doing what's right.
What is right?
There is no sin. Only experiences.
Well, they sometimes say that sin is when you go somewhere too far that you're not meant to go there in the beginning, or your what's that word called? What's that word? What's another word for it? You fall too short. Those are the two definitions of what sin is. And I feel like I thought I've been following God's purpose, waiting for the one, and then now I've realized maybe I'm living in a fairy tale that's not even real. And I realized that I put myself in a big hole.
And what's wrong is that? What's wrong with living in the fairy tale? You just went in trance, and that's subconscious moment when you're thinking, and that's why you begin to think. Begin to thinking, the energy begin to flow, and
it's
you begin
suffering.
to access.
It's
Which
suffering.
part is suffering?
The part where you think that the person was actually the one.
Okay. And so relationships.
Yes, but we're not in a relationship right now.
What do you want?
I don't know.
So you met the guy, and was that a reading? Was that a message given to you before, some time ago?
I thought that was a message from God that he was the one. He's the one I told you about, Adam.
So what do you want from Adam? Now we will move a little bit of a love story now, and if you're okay to talk about, I'll share what I thought, and our friends here can also share their viewpoint, so that you can walk out of the room tonight and feel more clear about your journey with this gentleman called Adam.
I feel like it's more of a fairness thing. Not just with Adam, with everything in my life, I guess.
What do you want?
Fairness, of course.
Which part is not fair? The universe has not been fair to you.
Everything in my life.
It's one thing. Talk about one thing that is not fair to you.
I don't have a voice.
Whose fault is that?
The community.
Are you sure about that?
Okay. Okay, it's my fault. I don't have a voice. No, I don't think it's my fault.
Alright, think about it. Whose fault is that?
If I'm being oppressed, it's not my fault.
Okay, whose fault is that? Just make it simple.
My responsibility.
Yeah, so you don't have a voice. Whose fault is that? Who did you wrong that you don't have a voice?
That's a big question I don't feel comfortable answering.
You mean you don't want it to be answered, or is that too personal?
I think it's too personal.
Too personal.
Yeah.
Good God. Now, we won't be able to proceed the healing session
Okay.
because it's a private matter as far as our friends here is concerned. Now, many people will have that experience that I don't have a voice. Doesn't matter, even me, sometimes I can also have those moments that I feel like, not that I don't have a voice, more so that I do have a voice, but I'm not being heard. This could have manifested in many different situations. We'll talk about it a bit more privately. Now, at the end of the day, what I wanted to share in relation to just that one particular aspect of our friend Lee brought up, if we don't have a voice, it's our own fault, okay? Well, no one physically saying you don't have a voice and trying to hold your neck, you can't talk. It's the fear that suppress you saying what you want to say. Because you're scared. If you say it out, it has certain consequences. Or you worry about other people will judge you. You fear of being judged. You fear of being wrong. Or you fear of being foolish looking in front of others. So there is a fear behind the voice, which means the throat chakra is blocked. So throat chakra block is the manifestation. It could be the fear stored in the base chakra. So they're all kind of related. If the base chakra, which is governing your security, who you really are. So the base chakra, the mantra is I am. So when you don't really know who you are losing your identity. Therefore, all those fear will come because you don't really know who you are.
What about the times when you talk and people don't hear you, and you feel like I'm talking to you and you talk over me and you don't hear me, and then because of that you get the fear because those people won't hear you, you stop talking.
So what you were talking about, you do have a voice, but your voice is not strong enough than others. So other people will override you, overpower you, and trying to push you down. So in viewing that scenario, that event itself is a lesson you need to stand up for yourself more. There are two components. Number one, recognize what it is. Number two, you need to learn how to speak better. Yeah. So the communication skills come with training. Before we do the training, we need to remove the mind block. So there's something in the head that is telling you you cannot negotiate with your boss. Maybe it's the clients. The clients are yelling at you, or could be your husband, wife, mother, son. It could be anyone. You're trying to convince, you're trying to prove, you're trying to stand up for you, but then that person does not even give you opportunity to say what you say. Yeah. So we first need to acknowledge that this is important. I need to overcome this. This is number one, awareness. Number two, then develop the skill set. Maybe when you get this awareness, maybe there's a root cause behind it, why you are not really fighting hard enough for yourself.
Like in my case, I'm 14, and if they won't hear me, I will shout. But there are some things coming with two reasons, at least in my life. One is gender, and quite often I'm working in the male-dominant industry, and they wouldn't hear me because of my gender. Or there is a second thing because of I'm a foreigner, so the accent, everything. Some people will talk over you because of who you are.
The gender thing may be a new lesson, not related with past life as I'm sensing, because this is a global thing. It's not one person thing as gender movement. Female, we are in the sphere of working certain jobs, but if you are female working engineering, maybe your case, or nurse in China, we are predominantly that's done by female, but for a male to become a nurse, that's very strange.
But female nurses we had less than the same qualification as a male. So gender oppression happens on a much deeper scale.
Yes. So that what I'm saying is
that. So people think like wage inequality is based on role. Like if you're a nurse and you're a female nurse and you're a male nurse, that gender equity works in payment of the direct role, and it does, but it also works on a much deeper level. So men in this country, they get paid $50 an hour for holding a sign up for the roads, for smashing bottles.
I know.
And jobs that are dominated by women will get paid like half half of that for the same level of qualification. So, and that's what I was thinking. I don't know what you're saying, but I was feeling maybe you're talking about cultural oppression. You know,
It could be
so
the quality of
we
life.
might be able to have a voice, but unfortunately, some people can find it hard to be speaking up because of their gender, because they might have maybe they've been violated their whole life, and so just because we have a voice doesn't make it always easy to access our voice because of oppression. And some people are still sadly oppressed in the world, not as around the world. We're not as privileged as we are in Australia, and even in Australia, unfortunately, gender inequity is still like a 12.5% pay gap in this country.
I think it's to do with bullying. Like, people should stand up for justice and really like take care of the community rather than having to dominate each other as an advantage. You know. Yeah, and that's a
I'll go back
problem.
to talk about the one thing which I wanted to talk about, come back to the center of the topic. So in addressing what we raised up just now as the voice, number one, you don't have a voice, number two, you have a voice but not loud enough because of the external factors. Now those are the lessons you chose to learn here. In terms of equality, male versus female versus male, in terms of wages and certain roles, you know, in government, politics, in the law system, they're being male. So those of us female, which in this room we have more female here, we chose to be in this female body, so we take part of that task, that challenge to voice out and to balance the energy between male and female. Having said that, we also know that the fact is more female is taking over power in those areas we mentioned. It's the history it's written by what was there, male predominantly in those major politics, you know, doctors or whatever, you know, legal system. Those authority positions were more so held by male. So the female now, we're making movements. Let's be honest. Yeah, we are changing. And in fact, in my country, I think the female is actually very, very powerful. In China, other parts of the world, they have different sort of stories. Australia is equally, you know, female in many sectors are very, very powerful. So just slowly, there is a past trauma element. Maybe you never ever had a voice in your family, in your school. So in terms of healing, we look after those aspects. In terms of a society, and this is a gradual thing. But as an individual, becoming aware of what is happening is number one. And the second level, you go to develop the skills. The third level, spirituality, in knowing why you're actually experiencing this. What are you supposed to learn? Because 20 years later, the situation will be entirely different to what we are now.
Might have been karmic. You might have been a really loud, obnoxious bloke in your last life, and now you're having to disbalance it.
Yes, yeah. So, would you happy to go through this? The first part is the physical expression of our soul. The second part is where does the body fit in? Well, I understand it, but I actually want everybody has a voice. If you're okay with your voice here.
I'm just gonna have a drink. I'll be back.
Yeah, sure. So, are you happy? Okay, start maybe one paragraph and we just pass the book around. Each one of us read through a little bit. Let's wait for a little bit. I don't know who's online. Is anybody online? I can't see it.
Is it where the star is? Yeah, with the star on top of a corner?
Bottom.
It's 0.
Yeah, there are a couple people online.
Ah, okay, watching. Yeah. What about the star?
Yeah. So the spiritual Q&A part, I wanted to be a part of the education and also answering some of our friends' questions, bring wisdom, knowledge, connections. So when you walk out of this place and you feel lighter, you feel like you have been heard, you have been understood. Because we're all wondering, What is God? Is there anything called God? And I hope that you are online that is not objecting the idea. So if my opinion does not sit with you, and that's totally okay, and I'm not saying this for personal, please don't take this personal, you don't have to buy whatever that I said. I just want to make sure that's clear.
Oh, wrong door.
Sorry. I'm just looking for the toilet again. I forgot where.
Through the
This-
kitchen.
Okay,
Sure.
okay, thanks. Sorry.
To the kitchen,
The last
all way
door
to-
on the
all way
left.
to the other end.
Nine, because it's when my baby's sitting on there.
Sure. It's 8:20.
Oh, beautiful.
So Linda has been practicing spirituality practice the longest in this room. Maybe Linda, you can share your experience while we
Probably when I was about 20, 21. I'm 50 now. I started practicing yoga and meditation. So I've done a lot of yoga. But my more recent, more deeper practice, I think we really spoke briefly when I arrived, is conscious dance. So I find that's the most powerful for me because it's in its finest. It's like moving meditation. And I don't teach very often, but I work with the elements. So you're journeying through the elements, so you get to really experience like earth in your body, water in your body, fire in your body, air in your body, and ether. And you get to feel really, really centered and calm and relaxed. And I was actually thinking about that when you're talking about memories of being centered. And yeah, when I've been dancing, or when I am even dancing, both is when I feel really, really centered and calm and relaxed and at one, where there is no, like I'm not a gender, I'm not an age, I'm not from any culture, I'm completely just source energy. So, yeah, which is the perfect balance. Yeah. And it's like that when I meditate as well. I don't know about for other people, but when I meditate in higher states of consciousness, I'm not anything, I'm just complete energy. So, and that's why for me, like, God is, I am God, we are all God, and God's everywhere. I don't really believe kind of like a judging kind of external God or anything like that, because yeah, I believe that I am God. I'm responsible for my decisions and emotions, and doesn't mean it's always easy. We spoke about oppression, but we can try to make the best decisions we can within our own circumstances at that given moment. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Well, let's start with our tonight learning, and our friend Danica is going to start with the reading. The physical expression of consciousness.
In living our extraordinary life, we must be at peace with our bodies, no matter what their present condition. Negative feelings or perceptions we retain about our bodies interfere with our ability to experience the essential goodness of our souls. Condemnation or negative judgment causes us to resist our reality. This resistance sets us up to be stuck like an energetic wedge. We will find ourselves unable to move past or grow beyond our present level of understanding.
Is it over this side, from this side? Beautiful. So on the other hand, acceptance, or letting things be exactly what they are, promotes ease of passage, empowering us to continue our growth process. Recognizing the significance of making peace with the body we have in this incarnation is extremely beneficial. For until we do, we are rendered ineffective in life. As long as we resist, deny, reject, condemn, or even second guess the wisdom in the choice of our identity in this life, we are depriving ourselves of a conscious connection with the fundamental resource given to every soul on the planet, a body and a human identity. Consequently, this point is critical. Bottom line, we must appreciate, enjoy, and value the bodies we are in to the best of our ability, as a physical expression of our souls here and now. So I just finished up to that.
A bit of paragraph.
Yeah, just one.
Okay. Yeah. When we are not in a body, prior to our arrival, as a soul experiencing freedom in all dimensions, comprehending spiritual truths is exceptionally easy for us. Among the truths we consider obvious: I am light, you are light, we are all light, we are all connected, we are all parts of the whole, same whole, we are all goodness, our essence is love. There is plenty of space out there. Remember the feeling of freedom. Entering a body, the very same soul cries out, what was I thinking? Now I'm trapped. Think of babies screaming the minute they are born.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Yeah, the question that we answered that for one quick paragraph.
Up to
here. One paragraph. Yeah.
That is our question. What we were thinking as a completely free beings, we thought what we might be in the most restrictive, controlling environment existing in all positive galaxies. We choose to place ourselves in this seemingly impossible situation for some good reason. We are limited beings in an unlimited realm. And since all of us made this identical selection, as humans have been doing for thousands of years, there must be some very completing motivations for being here. None of us would ever knowingly make a choice to cause ourselves harm. Incite punishment, ridicule ourselves or others. This incarnation must be imbued with inspiring potential, or we would not bother.
In examining the relationship between body and soul, we want to open to the possibility that we are in the correct body, as the right person in the best possible family, optimal cultural group, an ideal continent, at the perfect time for our awakening as a soul. Even if it seems totally ridiculous, and we have a list of grievances about all these details, our very willingness to find the appropriateness of it all is a key to opening new dimensions of perception.
Ours is a physical reality where the life force permeates every physical thing. All matter is an expression of God or life itself. At the subatomic level, every particle is imbued with God's substance. We could even say that every atom is a point of God or the divine. Our body comprises millions of these atoms. One opportunity of living on this planet is recognizing the truth of our oneness with God. Despite residing in this dense environment that does not seem to offer much validation for that idea at first glance. However, being composed of God's stuff, we're closer to this realization than we think. Consider a shift in perception. The next part we will read Where does the body fit in? Maybe Linda can pass the ball and the working for Benita. So we help each other, we rotating like that, yeah? Rather than me doing it all.
Yeah.
Everybody take part of the bet.
Our challenge is to walk around in a body and know the truth of our oneness with the divine reality, while refraining from judging the human experience. It can seem so simple and at other times totally confounding, even when we have had personal glimpses of essential, profound truths about our oneness with the divine and one another. At other times we have equally convincing impressions to the contrary. We seem to be caught between conflicting sets of interpretations, personal and collective. It will help us to see what the cultural understandings are and how they affect us.
In the left side, the first paragraph, yes?
So we did the first one.
Yeah.
Historically, the body has gotten a bad rap. Two popular schools of thought have influenced us. One considers the body to be an evil, lower station or expression of life. The other maintains that the body and the self are separate, that the body is merely a container for more valuable parts of the self. Even though these beliefs do not support us, and even though we may not have consciously decided to subscribe to them, we are still affected by them as they pervade mass consciousness.
In the Western world, through Christianity, the idea that the body deserves contempt traveled and morphed into a very destructive concept. The physical self is bad. Many of us, through the ages, have equated physical desire with sin, working vigorously to mortify the flesh so as to kill off human desire. Try as we might, natural human states cannot be destroyed because they are part of who we are.
Okay.
Do it for you. Some of us regard the body as a temple of God and yet still only the building. The distinction is made between body and spirit, keeping body and self separate. In this view, the body serves as a container, meant Tupperware it would seem, for the more valuable parts of the self, minimizing the role of the body, seeing it as a storage locker, a unit to be maintained not because of its own worth, but because it is housing something important, makes living in one of the difficult tasks an emotional burden.
These two schools of thought on the body are equally determinal. When we view the body as inherently evil, a great deal of effort must be put forth to keep it in check. When we separate the body from the soul, it becomes a burden to be cared for. How depressing to be responsible for something that is essentially useless.
The truth is that the body and the self are not separate. Seen within the Akashic realm, we recognize the body as a physical manifestation of the innermost self, an expression of the consciousness of the individual in this dimension at this time, a direct outgrowth of our soul. in total alignment with the soul, selected by the soul, in partnership with the divine, for the express purposes of this particular incarnation. Not only is the body a vehicle for expressing the soul, it is a physical expression of the co-creative relationship existing between the soul and the spirit of life.
This is a radically different point of view from which to consider the body as a vital component of the experience of God, providing the chance to consciously encounter the divine essence, both through it and as it. From this perspective, this essence is just as present in the legs as in the mind. Every cell of our being is imbued with the divine spark. Our very aliveness, our existence itself, is an expression of the divine.
Let's finish now.
Oh, sure. Through the use of our bodies, we can achieve our soul's purposes, because this is the intention behind the relationship of the two. When we are in a state of harmony with our physical self, the body actively supports us as we come to know ourselves. We are not here to escape our humanity in order to encounter the divine. Instead, we are here to dive into our humanity to discover that the divine has always been there.
Thank you so much for everybody reading the paragraphs. I'll just briefly explain what the soul journey actually looks like. As for my understanding, if you have different opinions, please feel free to share what your thought is. You don't have to agree with me, or I may not be right at all, but it doesn't really matter. Just feel thoughts, it really helps at all. The soul first emanates from the source, which is, we call it the creator, the God, the universal God. When we say this God, it doesn't mean it's Christian, it's not Buddha, it's not the Indian God or the Greek God, but the universal creator, which we are all part of it. And what it is, it's just pure light, it's pure love, it's total peace. When we begin to emanate, which we have our individual self, separate from the source, from total love, we go on a journey. Journey may be in this universe or maybe separate universe. From those journey, we then eventually come to this existence or the choice of coming onto Earth. Now on Earth, my understanding this could be totally wrong, but fruitful, entertainmental. According to the Lord's canons, there are 3 waves of volunteers who come over onto Earth to assist Earth's journey. Earth was initially a school, a playground for all beings, whoever have been or are going to be, come here as a playground. So soul, come down, come here, come over, manifest in the physical form. We didn't start with human, we start with different form, maybe plant, flower, animal, maybe in the sea, maybe flying in the sky. And as human evolved, as the soul evolved, you then eventually became a human or chose a human body. You don't necessarily need a human body to evolve, but you can choose to be here, hence we're here. We're here on Earth. The only thing that we are learning, just one thing, love. That's why I created the love program, because that's what the universal consciousness it is all about. So before we came to Earth, we go through different journey, different room, different universe, different sphere, different dimension. So you separate from the thoughts. You might live in different sphere, different universe. You may be in higher dimension, and as the source, as our individual spark, individual consciousness travel in the home base where the soul resides, through the human's imagination. That's when we go, when we do healing, whatever technique that you do, take the human energy, experiencing the multiverse and downloading all this information, that is where the real self, the biggest self resides. The part of that big self, when we hear the calling, which is in the spiritual space, calling for what? Calling the guidance needing individual soul come on the earth, help earth's evolvement. So the three waves, I'm second wave. The first wave are those slightly older than us, maybe same age, but the human age does not literally mean your soul age. The soul age is determined by your physical age, your earth age, and your universal age. These three elements determine how old you are, which means how long your individual soul separate from the source, if that makes sense at all. So the beings who's guiding earth, which is higher realm, wider beings, they govern the earth. The earth had a trouble from a playground that turned into a place that where disease exists. Before the meteorite, which is a rock, whatever you call it, hit Earth, and that introduced disease, darkness. Before that, Earth was purely a playground. Now that the meteorite hit Earth, and that created all human sufferings. And human sufferings, now at this stage, it's being allowed, being somewhat being overseen by higher beings. So these three waves of souls, number one, the first wave, they don't want to be here. So you hear lots of people say, I don't want to be here, it's the older world is much better. Those are the first waves. The second wave is us, people who are awakened and doing the healing work, are kind of spreading the message, knowing there is wonders, there's something bigger than the physical body. This is the second wave. The third wave are those children who have ADD, ADHD, OCD, all of those. They're the third wave. They behave very much differently. They are here to educate parents and educating the education system, if that makes sense. So these three waves, we are shifting, we're kind of guiding the human involvement in a way, to a direction. So the darkness and the lightness on earth, we are living, existing in a third dimension, which is duality. What does duality mean? Duality means we have day and night, we have physical world, we also have imagination. So the mind can take you to the world that the physical body does not or cannot, not capable to experience. It requires two things. Intelligence is one thing. Number two is your spiritual connection to be able to experience that. So some people, they are younger souls and they will not be interested in this. The younger souls have also two components. If we separate the younger souls, if we're trying to categorize the younger souls may be when they first separate from the source, and earth is their first experience, first living human body experience. So they have not lived in other space, in other higher realm. They have not got any pre-earth experience. So they tend to be younger souls. As we just read about the book, the purpose of separating from the source, which is the oneness, will come from the universal consciousness. It's through the human experience we are learning certain lessons. And this lesson all form part of love. So there are different lessons, the good lessons, the bad lessons, all together. It's form of your universal consciousness lesson on earth. It's all just about the love. That's why everyone on earth, you go through a journey of paying for experience. No one is going to come down here and really have a journey and suffering free. You don't see anybody. Yeah, some people at a different stage of life, they experience less pain, others have more struggles. But we're all going through different lessons from different time. And through reincarnation, we learn that. So some of my clients ask me, what if I don't learn? And people trying to ignore their lesson. If you don't learn your lesson, you simply come back and do it again. You don't just finish and you go away and thinking, when I close my eyes, I go to sleep and I'll come back, I'm done. No, you don't finish that. And when people hear that, really? Yes. As a matter of fact, that is life. So for those people who don't believe in reincarnation, it's really, really simple. But I don't guarantee what I said is true, but it is based on what I learned. And there are many, many different theories or knowledge or science. Science is now evolving. We now have a device that can capture the sound and the voice of a deceased person. So someone who died already, we now have the device. We can communicate with that deceased person. That's science. We have got that tools already. So those people who are asleep and who chose not to, wanting to listen or close their, if they close their ears, they have a hearing problem. So people who have a hearing problem, that's because they don't want to hear other people. They don't want to hear the truth. The ear have problem. Now people who don't want to see the truth, they will have an eye problem. Sure. Any questions? Any thought?
It's very interesting when you just said that. A lot of information to think about.
I think a lot of it you learn so much as remember. When I was waking up, it was more about remembering what I know is true rather than reading it in a book, learning it. When I read it in a book, it's reassuring, but this stuff I already know.
Beautiful. This stuff you already know. And when I do my work with my clients, always the client said, bloody hell, I have all the answers. Yes, you all have the answers because you've been here before and you've done this many, many times. So when we came over into a body, before the consciousness had this physical expression, we designed this life. We designed the struggle. But this struggle can only be learned, be experienced, and converted eventually into wisdom. It needs to have that physical expression. So the physical expression compose a journey and learning lesson. And then when we go back to home, go back to the spiritual home space, it becomes wisdom. Like a manufacturing process. We're here to produce wisdom. To experience, learning, and and just have a taste about what love is, what hate is.
I hate it.
Hate is a very strong word, and many of my clients will say that. Will say that word, I hate somebody, because somebody did something to me. So when the soul, the physical body, separate, which is given, this process called amnesia, given when we were born, carry a body. When we have a physical body, in that process is separating from the source, from the true self, from the bigger part of ourselves. We don't know the past, we don't remember, not that we don't know. As Danica just said, it's not we don't know, but I don't remember. So we went through an amnesia process during birth, so we don't remember our past. So you go through this spiritual awakening journey. Basically, it's the process of to remember who you are. Meditation, yoga, dancing medicine, a magic mushroom, or even painting. So whatever form you consider that make you, create you the most joy and make you feel most centered at that moment, and that is your form of meditation. And those moments where you feel most joy, most loved, and that is where you truly align with your higher self. It's not a very complicated thing. People trying to understand what is higher self, what is soul. Soul is really honor your being, your presence. Come on in. Soul is really being honor your existence and being peace with the current body, no matter what form, what shape, what health state it is, and make peace with this body, because we chose this body. It's not somebody else did not choose this body. Hey, I like you going, that's your body. Somebody push you into that body. No, there's no such thing. The source is total love, total acceptance, total forgiveness, and just total peace. So we come here, we forget about our body, we separate from love so that we have all the struggles. And slowly when you experience life becoming more centered through all different kind of practice, we immediately and just going back home and really remember who we are, why we're here, what is love. Love is unconditional, but we were born into this room. Love is not conditional. Love is conditional, sorry, I'm confusing myself. The human earth, the physical journey, creates perception or formed that perception of love is conditional. My mom said, you have to finish that food, otherwise I wouldn't love you. Yes, that's condition.
But that's not
So
true. It's motivation, but it's not true. She will still love you, doesn't matter if you eat it or not.
I'm just giving an example that may or may not be true to everybody. In the case, if the mom feeding you food that you don't want to eat, then that may or may not be interpreted as love. If the mom, or if it's an abusive relationship, if somebody forced you to do something, they may come out of the intention. The intention is good, in that the giver's position is a form of a love. But as a recipient, you might not think that that's a form of a love. There's a clash of intention, clash of purpose. So in terms of these clashes, both parties have lessons to learn. And it always involves certain level of forgiveness. We need to forgive others. This person did certain thing to us, and we also need to forgive ourselves. You might think, oh, because I did a certain thing, why did I not know that thing is so simple? Why I just did that? But we all were once young. We were not so wise when we were young. I did all kind of stupid things, and I was partying all the time. I was involved in drug all the time, But my body was just very strange. My body expelled all the drug. I was partying real hard, I tell you. I was just very, very wild. I was very bold in my age, in my community, in my peer friends. I was, I wasn't really, didn't even know that I was a girl. I was just running around, and because that's how my parents expected me to do a lot of things. So I always wanted myself to be a boy. And this is very interesting. In one of my sessions, when I go back to, I think a warm experience, can't remember what, I came to this realization because before I came to this incarnation, I actually wanted to be a man. That's why there's a certain level of anger in me. I wasn't sure. I thought I was angry with my mom, with my upbringing, but the anger is a part of my identity choice. I think there's a very strong element in me wanting to achieve something, and that drive is a lesson I need to learn. Because I go everywhere, everybody say, my God, this is tough. That's my lesson, being, softening down a little bit. Because I have fear of being rejected, fear of failure, because I never felt that I've been successful. Until when I finished my Vipassana 10 days meditation, on the last day, it's 10 days meditation, sitting there for 10 hours. When I finished that course, that morning 11, the last day, before we leave, we had a breakfast and we said goodbye. And that morning meditation, the first time in my life, I felt I was successful. So while we're doing all this spiritual journey, spiritual expression, meditation, yoga, just go to, communities, it's an expression. We wanted to feel loved. Love is missing, that's why we have all this struggle. There you go. Linda is super love. Linda, I want you to share your love story. She, in bed, every morning, the lover would bring her breakfast. She's so lucky.
Yeah, my life partner brings me breakfast in bed every morning.
Yeah.
21 years.
Yeah.
Very spoiled. A lot of gratitude for him.
You stay soaked in love. So beautiful. Yeah. So just accept ourselves and finding ways to connect to love others, and love yourself. We all have our own lesson, but we're all equal in a certain way. We have all different level of, being judgmental, being critical to others and also to ourselves. I'll share my experience. I go to Steve's place. Beginning, I didn't enjoy it. Why? Because I was being very critical. I criticizing the music, I criticizing the cues, I criticizing the yoga postures, it's not good enough. Why? Why am I criticizing others? Because I don't have love within me. It came to a very shock lesson for me to learn. Wow, you run this love program, you got all this website, you're on YouTube, you're on Facebook all the time. Wow, you're so criticizing when you go out. And that realization really shocked me, because I realized that I was a fraud. My friend is saying goodbye. Have a great evening. Thank you. See you another time. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Drive safely.
It's getting late. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful. So I realized that I'm being fraud. I'm not really loved, because I didn't have enough love, so I was so critical when I'm going out to my community. And I was like, I don't go out to my community enough because I don't have enough love. That came through to me was absolute shocking, and I have to accept that. And I'm like wondering, wow, where did love go? Where did love go? And now I have to go and find love. So I got to fix those puzzles, fix the area, the event that took or destroyed love from within me. Am I needing to be accepted by others? Maybe. Is that because of ego? And now when I understand that, layer one has been, well, you have your own lessons, and we all do. So there's no need of looking, wow, she's so beautiful, she's so successful, she's shining. Everybody has our own stuff, our own journey of going through. No one is perfect. And it's okay. It's okay to feel the moments of not being yourself, the moments of being, well, I'm not good enough. Everyone, I tell you, Bill Gates have done a bit. I'm not good enough. Elon Musk, well, he's not going to watch my video, but all of these people, there's elements in them, not good enough, deep down. But that also can be a good thing. It's a drive, it's a motivation, push you further and becoming better, a better version of yourself. Not perfect. Having a human body is not a perfect experience. You are collecting experience, but it can never be a perfect experience. If you're perfect, you're God. You're with God. You're there. You are God. You won't need a physical body. When you have a physical body, you have lessons to learn because the light is not pure enough. It's not bright enough. Oh, we chose here to experience darkness. That is also a lesson. Like why people go get drunk? Why people try drugs? Because bloody hell is an experience. Because you don't know, you wouldn't learn. If you don't know, you might be either you're curious or you're scared or you're neutral. You're curious, you're going to try it before you know it's not good for yourself. And that's how human learns, by experience. And also humans, we are very stubborn. We don't learn lessons until we suffer enough. Most of my clients, they are not my clients until they suffer badly. Their life is not moving anymore. Okay, I need to see Apple. Or they have tried all other different methods. It's all working to a degree, then fell back. All working to a degree, then fell back. It's not deep enough to understand why they actually experience those events in the first place. Because everything happened for a reason. Some people will deny that. They will say that I don't think there's a purpose. In the events, horrible things happened. They will reject this idea. There's a purpose for everything. There's a purpose for everything. It's not random. Before we came here, we already designed where we're going to be, what we're going to experience. Although things can change, things can shift because of other factors, external factors or higher beings, external energy influence that can change your journey. But the major things, in a way, kind of being decided, unless your soul somehow changed their plan. But the major events, major people that you're going to meet, your partner, your husband, your wife, your children, all of those people, more or less you have already decided before you came, based on your major lessons that you need to learn. Leah, you have been thinking. Do you have any thought? Anything you want to share?
I'm just thinking about my life situation right now. And the critical point of my life lesson. Very critical.
Yes, we have something to learn here. So for those of you, if you're online, if you have any questions in relation to what we discussed, shared, by means, message me. And we're going to turn off the camera now. Otherwise, yeah?
You mean to turn off?
Yeah, if you can
Finish.
just, yeah.
Finish.